Homogeneous groups tend to be much more cohesive in general. They tend to like each other more. They tend to work harmoniously for longer periods of time. And so tasks that require persistence and some degree of automaticity and repetition, you're doing the same thing well over and over again. It's good to have a cohesive unit where people are mostly the same. They mostly are fairly similar in the way they approach those tasks. But in domains where you need creativity and where things shift and the shape of them changes a lot, it's really valuable to have a black sheep. That's what they call them. So there are famous anecdotes of Pixar creating teams, the production teams for some of their most successful films. They'll bring someone in who is effectively their agent of chaos, their black sheep. And it is that person's job, not to just be silly about it, but to actively say, I don't agree with these things that you're doing, and here's the way I would do it. And you see this in all sorts of different areas where creativity, where I guess divergence from the way things are usually done is valuable. And so those are the cases where a bit of diversity, where a bit of the black sheep effect is very valuable. And often it's not even clear who's going to be the black sheep. Like you sort of, you see this a lot in some of the most successful hedge funds. A lot of financial institutions will hire people who have an MBA with a specialty in finance, which makes sense. But there are some really, really interesting cases where you have these very, very successful hedge funds where they will hire Russian literature undergrads who are very smart. They're the best Russian literature undergrads in the country, but they are Russian literature undergrads. They don't have anything to say about finance per se. And then they'll find someone who studied chemical engineering, and then they'll find someone who studied mind-body philosophy. And they'll put all these people in a room. It's not clear who the black sheep's going to be, but it's very clear that there is what we call in science orthogonality, which basically means that you don't have overlapping ideas. They're orthogonal. They're sort of all adjacent to each other. And allowing these people to have conversations often means that you go in directions where no one else is going to go, where other teams won't go. And so there's huge value in this team building exercise where you have either one or sometimes more people who are brought in to offer diversity of thought. Leadership is so key in these situations. You have to make sure that you're not creating a team of 1,000 individuals who all disagree with each other, because that's not going to be productive either. And so usually, and this is what Brad Bird of Pixar talks about this, he says, usually we pick one person to be our black sheep. We don't make that public. We don't tell the rest of the team, hey, here's a person who's an agent of chaos, enjoy. That's not what they do. But they do bring this person in so that they have essentially a cohesive team with one really smart person who thinks a bit differently, who maybe has a different background, who prioritizes different things. And that person comes in and just stirs things up just a little bit. And obviously, your role as a manager, in part, is to make sure that the level of chaos that you're injecting with this black sheep is optimal in a sense. So if that person's just causing chaos and not actually changing how we think about things in a productive way, we need to do something about that. And then you've got to manage that person and have a conversation with them and maybe consider shifting them to another team. But that's the role of the leader in all of this, is to look between those poles where everyone's exactly the same to everyone's completely different, figuring out where that sweet spot lies.